What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Harrison Graham here from Chat Sports. We got another episode of the Chiefs Report coming at you here on a Monday. It is draft week. Round of applause. We made it. Biggest week of the year outside of, Super Bowl week, of course. Can't wait to see what Brett Veach and this front office do in the NFL draft. Speaking of which, that's where we'll start today's show. Are the Chiefs looking to trade up in round one? Albert Breer of Monday Morning Quarterback says that the Chiefs have, quote, made calls about moving up in the first round, which I think does end up making a lot of sense for Kansas City because you look at their draft capital right now, have the number 31 overall pick, 63.95, couple of fourths, couple of sixths, couple of sevenths, got a fifth rounder in there as well. You don't need to draft 10 players if you're Kansas City. You just won the Super Bowl. You don't have a bunch of needs to fill out on this roster. Trading up makes sense. You're picking in the last pick of round one. If you can move up to 20, 22, hell, even the top 20 to get a player that you really, really like that can really, really help you right now, that makes sense. Your goal should be to find 3 to 5 impactful players in this draft, 1 or 2 early on, and then you're good to go. And then, hopefully with your other picks, you find some contributors. But if you can pick some guys that can help you right away, I think that's going to leave you in a really good spot if you are Kansas City. So what do you guys think? Should the Chiefs trade up in the NFL draft? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I would like to see it. They don't need to make 10 picks. I'm typing my Y for yes. If you don't agree, if you disagree, you can go ahead and type your N for no. Here's Albert Breer. He says the Chiefs are one of a few teams that has already made calls about moving up. And while teams have talked to them, feel like, at least for now, Kansas City is seeing if it can find a discounted way to go up the board. Brett Veach and his crew aren't doing it for nothing. Targets. I've heard Zay Flowers connected to the Chiefs. He worked out with Patrick Mahomes in Texas last week. The other name was Jahmyr Gibbs, which that's a really fascinating one. We'll talk about the Alabama running back here in just a moment, but let's talk about the Boston College wide receiver first. We talked about Zay Flowers quite a bit last week because the Chiefs called him last minute to sneak in a private workout with Patrick Mahomes, a late draft visit there, and I think that was very notable. Obviously, Zay Flowers is a player that is moving up draft boards and probably won't fall to number 31, so he could be an interesting fit at the wide receiver position. We'll talk about Jahmyr Gibbs here in just a second, but first, shout out to today's sponsor, Z Biotics. Listen, I'm almost 30 years old now. When I have a lot of drinks at night, I just don't wake up well the next day. It's kind of a tough one, but that has all changed with Z Biotics. Their pre-alcoholic probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in your gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it most. So drink Z Biotics before drinking alcohol, then drink responsibly. Get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. So try Z-Biotics yourself. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports to get 15% off when you plug in code CHATSPORTS at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason at all, they will refund your money. That is zbiotics.com/chatsports, code CHATSPORTS for 15% off. Just comes in this little shot glass. Rip it. Enjoy your night of drinking, get some sleep. You're going to be feeling good the next day. zbiotics.com/chatsports, code chatsports to get 15% off at checkout. You're going to be feeling brand new with Z-Biotics. Check the link in the comments and in the description of this video. You get back to wide receiver with Zay Flowers. Does he come in and be a number one right away? I don't think so, but I just think it adds another good weapon to this offense. Flowers, Tony, MVS, Sky Moore, Richie James, Justin Watts, and obviously Travis Kelce in your tight end room. You need another wide receiver. You need one more guy toward the front of that depth chart that can help. I think he can be much better as a rookie than Sky Moore was last year. I really do. I think he's going to come in and be more pro-ready than Sky Moore was and contribute at a high level. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs, the other name that Albert Breer mentioned as a potential trade-up option, is not someone we've talked about here on the Chiefs Report. In fact, we really haven't talked about the frontline running backs in this draft, but it would be interesting. Gibbs, who kind of does a little bit of everything, transferred from Georgia Tech to Bama for this past season, ran for 926 yards, caught 44 balls for 444 yards, 10 total touchdowns, and, Jarrett McKinnon remains unsigned, and Brett Veach says they'll revisit that after the draft. You add Jahmyr Gibbs for an Isaiah Pacheco-Jahmyr Gibbs combo, kind of a 1-2 punch. That's pretty interesting. I like that quite a bit. Now, a couple things to consider. One, would this take you out of bringing back Jarrett McKinnon, or do you cut or trade Edwards-Helaire and then bring back McKinnon as your third back? That could still be in the cards, I would say. And then number two, speaking of Edwards-Helaire, is there too much PTSD from when this team drafted the LSU running back in round one? Because he has not lived up to that billing. He just hasn't. But Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is a better prospect. I know that Edwards-Helaire was considered a good prospect, but Gibbs has much more burst. I think he's better as a pass catcher. That's where we really missed on Edwards-Helaire. I thought he was going to be a weapon out of the backfield. He has not been that. He just has not. So, it's interesting. Trading up for running back sounds funky, but again, you don't have a ton of major needs, and if you want to go up and get somebody that you really, really like, it can really, really help right away. And if you're convicted in that decision, then that's something you have to consider. All right, pick a player. Type ZF for Zay Flowers. Type JG for Jahmyr Gibbs. Let me know who you would rather trade up for in the comment section below. ZF for Flowers or JG for Jahmyr Gibbs. The NFL draft is going to be wild, and we're going to have you guys covered throughout all 3 days of the draft. So subscribe to our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. We'll be live over there for every single pick. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. Turn on your notification bell over there. When you see this thumbnail, you'll know you're in the right place. Chat Sports' round 1 coverage of the NFL draft. And we'll be live for rounds 2 and 3, rounds 4 through 7. Don't miss any of it. Every single pick broken down with us here at Chat Sports. Okay, one more draft rumor here. How about drafting Jordan Addison, the USC wide receiver? ESPN's Matt Miller mocked Addison to the Chiefs in his latest mock draft. And look, I think any of a grouping of receivers that are sitting there at 31, I think is great value if you don't go trade up. And in fact, you could trade up for a guy like Jordan Addison. 2 good years in a row at 2 different programs. Had a huge year at Pitt in 2021 when he won the Blitnikoff, almost 1,600 yards, 17 touchdowns when he played with Kenny Pickett. Didn't put up the volume at USC, but was still very effective there. They just had more weapons to spread the ball around to. 8 touchdowns for the Trojans a year ago. Here's what Miller had to say about Jordan Addison and what the Chiefs could do at 31. First, he had a quote from a rival GM saying, "There's no way KC uses all of its picks this year. They'll either trade up or trade out." A rival GM said, "But a surprising drop down the board for receivers allows the Chiefs to select a potential wide receiver 1 without moving up. Addison is primarily a slot receiver, but has 219 catches and 29 touchdowns over the past 3 years." I would love Jordan Addison at number 31 overall. I really would. I think that he would fit in well in this offense. I think he's in a grouping along with Quentin Johnston or Zay Flowers and even Jackson Smith-Njigba, who you would almost certainly have to trade up for. Any of those guys I think would be good fits for Kansas City, and Addison is right there. So especially if he falls to 31, I think the value is great, but you could justify trading into the 20s to go get a player of this caliber. All right, predict it for us. The Chiefs will draft blank in round 1, whether it's at 31 overall or in a trade-up. Who will the Chiefs draft in the first round? Go ahead and let me know in the comments.